So here we're told that the greatest common divisor of these two integers, x and y, is d. Questions which of the following must also have d as the greatest common divisor. I'll start with the first one, which is the easier one. Here the greatest common divisor of any integer and 1 will always be 1. That's the largest number that will divide both of these, because any number other than 1 will not divide this evenly. So we know 1 is out. 2 is y and xy, and here we can see that immediately y divides both of these. So we know y is a common divisor, and we also know that y is greater than d. So here the largest common divisor is y, not d. I mean, d is a divisor of both y and this product, but we know that the largest common divisor is y itself. So 2 is out. That immediately tells you the answer has to be 3 only, based on how the answer choices are given. And I'll go over this one. This one is a little bit trickier. And the way you want to think about this is that, let's say D1, and I'm distinguishing that from the greatest common divisor. D1 is a common divisor of x and y. Let's say it's some number. And what you will see that if D1 is a divisor of y, and I also know that D1 is a divisor of x, that means x is some multiple, let's say n1 D1, because we started with this condition that D1 is a divisor of x. And then I'm going to replace y with some other multiple of D1. And if I factor out D1, we know that D1 must also be a divisor of x minus y, because I wrote it as a multiple of D1. So the key concept you have to kind of understand is that if D1 is a common divisor of x and y, then it's also a common divisor of y and x minus y. So any divisor that's in this set, so think of all the divisors of x and y, this set must also be divisors of y and x minus y, based on this my explanation here, that if D1 is a divisor of x and y, it must also be a divisor of y and x minus y. That means these two sets are exactly identical. And that also means that the greatest common divisor in this set must also be a greatest common divisor of y and x minus y. And that's why when we're given that D is the greatest common divisor of x and y, that means that must also be the greatest common divisor of y and x minus y. So 3 is true. So the answer is 3 only. Obviously, we didn't have to do this work, but the reason I explained this is that this concept could be tested in some other form, in some other question. So it's important to kind of have gone through this logic. So the answer is 3 only, choice C.